It seems the end is near for President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment trial, as the last hearing was supposed to be held on Friday. But as fierce clashes continued at the Constitutional Court, the hearings have been extended for a 9th session this coming Tuesday. To make sense of what's been going on so far, we have our Oh Soo-young in the studio who's been covering the case for us. Welcome back, Soo-young.
Nice to be here again, Tammy.
So, Soo-young, there have been a total of 8 hearings so far. First, remind us what the main arguments were.
Sure. So the National Assembly's impeachment panel, which is pushing for Yoon's removal from office, set out 5 main grounds for impeachment. They claimed that Yoon's declaration of martial law itself was illegal, as he did not go through cabinet procedures, as well as proclamation of martial law decrees. The panel says Yoon also tried to disrupt parliamentary activities by deploying troops to the National Assembly, as well as the National Election Commission, an independent constitutional body, as well as trying to arrest judicial figures. Meanwhile, Yoon's side insists it was constitutional as an executive right of the president, and that the opposition party had made it impossible for the government to function by constantly impeaching officials and dramatically cutting the budget. Yoon's lawyers also cited suspicions of election fraud at the National Election Commission and called to investigate their servers and ballot papers for irregularities. So taking these arguments into account, the justices are examining whether the martial law was legal and whether it was justified.
But there have been some complications as testimonies were not consistent. Tell us more about that.
That's right. So statements recorded by prosecutors and in the media as well before the impeachment trial seemed like pretty damning evidence for President Yoon, as he allegedly told troops to drag out lawmakers from parliament and arrest politicians. But some military officials who'd stated the above ended up giving a different account in the courtroom, and Yoon has also denied all charges. There was much confusion over whether Yoon has said legislators, or 의원 in Korean, or other words like yoon, which means agents, or 인원, which means persons. Under heavy questioning, former Special Warfare Commander Kwak Jong-un changed his words in court to say that Yoon had told him to pull out the persons, or 인원, not legislators, from parliament. Meanwhile, former Defence Minister Kim Yong-yeon said that the order had been to pull out military agents sent to the assembly. Another point of conflict is regarding whether Yoon went through cabinet procedures before declaring martial law. Prime Minister Han Duck-soo and Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok claimed there wasn't a proper cabinet meeting, but former Interior Minister Lee Sang-min and National Security Advisor Shin Won-sik told the court they believe a proper meeting was held, although they didn't agree with the martial law. Also, there are contradictory claims surrounding the alleged list of figures Yoon sought to arrest. Former National Intelligence Service Deputy Director Hong Jang-won claimed he was told by Yoon to aid the Counterintelligence Command's arrest operation and was read a list of names that he scribbled down outside in the dark. His boss, though, Director Cho Tae-yong, has suggested Hong lied, saying that CCTV footage show he was in his office at the time he claims to have written the memo. And Cho also raised doubt over Hong's political neutrality, saying that he asked for 7 separate personnel favours from an opposition party politician.
So there have been questions whether the court will extend the trial. How is the court managing the pace of the trial?
Yes, the court has been moving very quickly, rejecting most, if not all, objections to the proceedings raised by Yoon's team. Justices scheduled multiple trial hearings at once without consultation and chose not to postpone a hearing date when Yoon was initially arrested and physically couldn't make it to his own trial. They also rejected most of the over 30 witnesses Yoon applied for, just approving 8 from his side as of Thursday and 7 from the National Assembly side, while during former President Park Geun-hye's trial, 36 witnesses were selected. All of this has caused concerns that due process is being neglected. Public trust in the Constitutional Court is not very high at the moment, at 54%, while distrust is at 41%.
Ultimately, whether the Constitutional Court decides to dismiss or uphold the impeachment, the ruling must serve to end the division and turmoil in our country. Thus, it is not enough for the justices to simply believe their ruling is correct. Rather, the public must see it as reasonable and justifiable. In this regard, the court has thus far failed to appropriately address various controversies surrounding its political orientation and so on.
Now, given the left-leaning orientation of 3 justices, as well as alleged ties to opposition party leader Lee Jae-myung and the National Assembly's impeachment panel, the court would look politically biased if it delivers a very speedy verdict, as it would benefit Lee Jae-myung, who's set to run as the opposition's main presidential candidate. Regardless of the ruling, experts say what matters is due process and more transparency from the court.
In the case of former President Park Geun-hye, the ruling was unanimous at 8-0. That's why the public accepted the Constitutional Court's decision as a legal judgment rather than a political one. Even conservative justices agreed that her removal was justified, making it clear that the ruling was not based on political views. However, in President Yoon's case, if the decision ends up being split at 4-4 or 5-4 if all 9 take part, it's unclear whether the public will accept such a divided ruling.
For now, a 9th trial date has been set for Tuesday, but it remains to be seen whether justices will allow for more witnesses to be scheduled beyond that point. If the hearings conclude next week, then we can expect a ruling in early March, given that former President Park Geun-hye's impeachment was upheld in 11 days and former President Roh Moo-hyun's was dismissed in 14 days.
Well, we will have to wait and see. Thank you, Soo-young, for coming in today.
Thanks so much for having me.